information on antennas, and equipment reviews. In 1974, Clayton Howard suggested a Shortwave Listeners Club be created, and so Andy's DX's International, or ANDEX, began. Members would receive a membership certificate and membership card with the member's name and individual member number, along with Howard's signature. A monthly bulletin was sent to members, of which I was one. In fact, I was one of HCJB's monitors in the UK, and in the many dozens of reception reports over the years, and I still have an HCJB pennant hanging in my studio. ANDEX eventually had a membership in the thousands and continued as a service of HCJB until 1996. Besides DX Party Line, other original radio programming produced by HCJB staff members included Morning in the Mountains, Musica del Ecuador, Musical Mailbag, Happiness Is, and Passport.
You're listening to Passport. From Quito, Ecuador. For good shortwave listening, HCJB, Ecuador, and Passport. Thank you, Ben Cummings, and welcome back to another friend. It's great to gab across the miles like this, not only giving out from here, but hearing from you as well. This is your power pod. People's cards and letters coming in, friend. They're great help and encouragement. Our address at this spot under the sun is a great big post office box numbered 691 at Quito, Ecuador. We hope you'll want to keep it warm with your letters, too. That address again, box 691, Quito, Ecuador, South America.
In the mid-1970s, HCJB constructed a secondary transmitter site halfway up Mount Pichincha, the volcano in whose foothills Quito is built. There they installed a 50-kilowatt medium-wave transmitter operating on 690 kilohertz. On Sunday nights, they often ran DX tests, such as this one.
Esta es una transmisión de prueba de HCJB, la voz de los Andes en Quito, Ecuador. En varios países hay radioescuchas que están tratando de captarnos en esta frecuencia de onda media de 690 kHz.
In 1979, a steerable egg beater antenna was constructed, and in 1981, a 500-kilowatt transmitter, designed by HCJB's own engineers, was built at the facilities of Crown International in Elkhart, Indiana. This transmitter was put into use from PIFO to try to overcome some of the Russian jamming efforts their broadcasts to Soviet bloc countries were facing. In 1986, they acquired the Crown International facility at Elkhart, now called Sunset Solutions, and used it to modify a 500-kilowatt Siemens single sideband transmitter to operate on SSB with a carrier, so it could be heard on AM radios. And then in the 1990s, HCJB engineers built a number of new 100-kilowatt transmitters using the HC100 design, which also used operation on SSB with a carrier. These transmitters were the ministry's contribution to the World by 2000 challenge, and they were a successful design that was deployed not only in PIFO, but also at TWR in Swaziland, and later at Reach Beyond in Australia. Here's an ID from June 1994.
The voice of the Andes, HCJB, from Quito, Ecuador, is broadcasting in the English language on the 31 and 25 meter band frequencies of 9745 and 11925 kilohertz. The time in Quito is 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, during 0300 UTC. With news from Latin America and the world, I'm Ralph Kurtenbach.
Over the years, more land was bought adjoining the PIFO site, such that it eventually covered more than 200 acres. By 1995, there were 13 transmitters and 32 antennas on the PIFO site, beaming to all corners of the globe. The main studio compound was in downtown Quito, from where programming was fed to the transmitter site via a microwave link, which replaced the earlier FM links. The staff of over 100 people were employed in the radio ministry, and nearly double that were involved in the operation of HCJB's medical clinics throughout the country. The eventual close down of HCJB from Quito came not because of falling listenership or loss of commitment to shortwave broadcasting, but rather because of the decision of the Ecuadorian government to demand the removal of HCJB's shortwave antenna masts, which they determined would be too close to the new Quito airport, then under construction. Consideration was given to building a new shortwave station near Guayaquil, but in the end, the mission leadership in the USA decided instead to move their base of operations from Ecuador to Australia. The station at PIFO near Quito was gradually shut down and dismantled in the mid-2000s, and their final broadcast in English was on Saturday, May 6, 2006. And on Sunday, September the 30th, 2009, after nearly 80 years of international shortwave broadcasting from Ecuador, radio station HCJB made its last high-power transmission. The 50 kilowatt medium wave transmitter on 690 kilohertz was shut down in 2017. But the station does continue to this day from the Mount Pichincha site with Spanish and Quechua on 6050 kilohertz using a 1 kilowatt transmitter and a double dipole antenna designed to reach the remote rural areas of Ecuador. Back to you, Jeff.
Thanks, Ray. Next week, Ray will be visiting the Caribbean for the story of Trans World Radio's station on the Dutch island of Bonaire. Today, I'm just getting back from the B25 High Frequency Coordination Conference in Prague in the Czech Republic. We're going to have many reports from that conference on upcoming editions of Wavescan beginning next week. But this week, we hope to catch up on a lot of worldwide DX news from our Wavescan correspondents, beginning with Andre Hoos in South Africa.
First, some radio news from Africa. A teenage DXer in Colorado in the US, Liam, informed me that satellite imagery from April 2025 confirmed that the antennas at the former VOA Sao Tome shortwave site have been completely removed. That means there is no prospect of this site returning to transmission capability. VOA stopped all transmissions from Sao Tome exactly a year ago, in August 2024. The medium wave transmission on 1530 kilohertz and shortwave transmissions on 6180, 12070 and 15460 kilohertz from Sao Tome used to be heard all over Africa. I heard Radio Congo from Brazzaville on 8 July on 6115 kilohertz. This used to be a regular patch here in Johannesburg, South Africa, but the signal went quiet about a year or so ago. It has suddenly reappeared. On the days after 8 July, listeners in Europe also reported hearing Radio Congo with French and local language programming. Then the signal went quiet again for some weeks. It was heard again on 1 and 2 August in Spain and France, among other places. This signal appears to be quite sporadic, but it might be worth monitoring this frequency regularly, particularly around 1800 to 1900 UTC, the time when it seems to broadcast. That is 6115 kilohertz. My shortwave reception report for August follows. All signals were received in Johannesburg in a suburban area. On 5 August, Radio Taiwan International in Russian from Sofia on 9790 kilohertz at 1724 UTC. The female voice talking. SIO 454. KBS World Radio in Spanish on 9740 kilohertz at 1726 UTC. The Skyphonic Kinjai. Korean music. SIO 555. Vatican Radio in Belarusian on 9710 kilohertz from Santa Maria di Galleria at 1727 UTC. Female voice talking. SIO 353. Radio Mali from Bamako on 9635 kHz at 1729 UTC. African music played. Desire 353. BBC in Korean from Dushanbe on 9390 kHz at 1731 UTC. Female voice talking and music in the background. SIO 353. On 8 August, reach beyond Australia from Kununurra on 15640 kHz at 1256 UTC. Program in Gujarati with female voice talking. SIO 544. Akashvani in Swahili from Bengaluru on 15210 kHz at 1238 UTC. Indian music playing. SIO 555. CRI in Korean from Zhanyang on 15260 kHz at 1240 UTC. Chinese music playing. SIO 353. FEBC Manila from Bukawi in Khmer on 13870 kHz at 1256 UTC. Male voice talking and music in the background. SIO 454. FEBC Manila from Bukawi in the language Hakka, which is spoken in Yunnan in China, on 12120 kHz at 1258 UTC. Music. SIO 454. Reach beyond Australia from Kununurra on 11900 kHz at 1412 UTC. Hindi program with female voice talking. SIO 353. AWR in Chinese from Guam on 11850 kHz. Male voice talking and music. This was at 1314 UTC. The signal was weak. SIO was 252. NHK World Radio from Yamata in Japan on 11815 kHz at 1317 UTC. Male voice talking. SIO 454. CNR5 Cross Strait Radio from Beijing on 9665 kHz at 1321 UTC. Popular Chinese music played. Again a weak signal, SIO 252. If you have any comments or would like to request an EQSL for the South Africa DX report, contact me at andre9@dot.com. That is Alpha November Delta Romeo Echo the number 9@dot.com. Happy listening, everyone.
Dear listeners and radio hobbyists, welcome you in Bangladesh DX reporting. This is Salahuddin Dollar from Rajshahi, Bangladesh. Glad to be back and thanks for listening. The receiving log of different radio stations. 12th August, BBC Dushanbe, Korean talk by OM was heard at 1550 UTC on 9390 kHz. The SI code was 343. CRI Hindi, Bengali transmission schedule given by female announcement was heard at 1555 UTC on 9490 kHz. The SI code was 454. KBS World Radio English program playing Korean pop song was heard at 1557 UTC on 9515 kHz. The SI code was 343. All India Radio Bengaluru Persian service playing light instrumental music was heard at 1604 UTC on 9620 kHz. The SI code was 333. 3rd August, reached beyond Australia. Darby's program playing song was heard at 1516 UTC on 11870 kHz. The SI code was 444. Trans World Radio Africa Somali talk by OM was heard at 1529 UTC on 11880 kHz. The SI code was 333. CNR 13 Uyghur Radio Urumqi playing vocal music by Uyghur language in Uyghur language program was heard at 1537 UTC on 11885 kHz. The SI code was 333. Radio Farda, Al-Dhabba, Persian, reporting by OM was heard at 326 UTC on 12035 kHz. The SI code was 343. Vatican Radio ASMC, Sohali Talk by While, was heard at 1610 UTC on 13830 kHz. The SI code was 333. August 1st. Radio Taiwan International, French-based transmission discussion between OM and While was heard at 1715 UTC on 15145 kHz. The SI code was 444. Ibrahim Media Radio Ofartun, Arabic song, playing vocal song, was heard at 1706 UTC on 15260 kHz. The SI code was 333. Deutsche Welle, Isudan, Amharic discussion between OM and While was heard at 1650 UTC on 15275 kHz. The SI code was 343. We want to thank Mr. Pradeep Chandra Kundu of Tripura, India for sharing his ROM with us. If you have any comments and suggestions, and send your reception report of this segment to the following email address: dxbangla@gmail.com, dxbangla@gmail.com. So we will come with more DX news in the next edition. Till then, take care. Salaudin Dollar, Ratrahi, Bangladesh.
Hello everyone, I'm Henry Omatai reporting from Bacolod City, Negros Occidental in Central Philippines. It's great to be back and thank you for tuning in. Special QSL card, a special 18th anniversary QSL card will be sent to all listeners who submit their reception reports this year. I would like to thank our DXer friends for sending their reception report most recently, Mr. Richard Lemkin of Canada, Mr. Adrian Mikalev in the island of Malta, Mr. Dinglu in Changian City, China, Mr. Peter Goldfinch in Morley, Western Australia. To all of you, thank you very much. Reception logs for July 2025. July 6, Voice of Korea on 9445 kHz in English from Kansha at 0442 SIO 343. July 6, PBS Sinyang on 13670 kHz in Ogyor, Pramorong at 0723 UTC SIO 343. July 6, Radio Taiwan International on 9595 kHz in Chinese from Paochong at 1023 UTC SIO 555. July 13, Voice of Japan on 9840 kHz in English from Hanoi Santay at 1025 UTC SIO 433. July 13, Transworld Radio KTWR on 11965 kHz in Wadarisu from Mariso at 1128 UTC SIO 555. July 13, Radio Taiwan International on 11915 kHz in Indonesia from Paochong at 1029 UTC SIO 555. July 20, NHK World Radio Japan on 11815 kHz in Japanese from Yamata at 1022 UTC SIO 333. July 20, Voice of Korea on 11735 kHz in English from Kunchang at 1037 UTC SIO 333. July 27, KSDA Adventist World Radio on 15500 kHz in Admission Permagot at 1106 UTC SIO 444. And July 29, China National Radio 1, Voice of China on 11770 kHz in Chinese from Moronggi at 1033 UTC SIO 555. Send us your comments, suggestions, reception lines, and information to filipinasdx@gmail.com. That's PILIPINASDX for filipinasdx@gmail.com. This has been Henry Omaday for Wavescan in Bacolod City, Negros Occidental, Central Philippines. Mabuhay at maraming salamat po.
Is Wavescan with music from Bonaire in the Papiamento language. Thanks for listening to Wavescan, the international DX program researched and written in Indianapolis by Dr. Adrian Peterson and in Los Angeles by Ray Robinson. Next week, TWR Bonaire our first report from the HFCC B25 conference in Prague. Wavescan is heard weekly in the Americas from WRMI in Florida and WWCR in Tennessee. Across Asia, Australia, and New Zealand on Reach Beyond Australia, on Voice of Hope Africa from Zambia, and in Europe on IRRS Italy. Please send reception reports directly to any of those stations. Podcasts of this program are available through wavescan.podomatic. That's PODOMATIC.com. Your comments or suggestions are always welcome. Just email Ray or me using the address wavescan@yahoo.com. I'm Jeff White at WRMI Shortwave in Okeechobee, Florida. Till next week, good listening, everyone.
Chambers on the subject of initiative. When it comes to taking the initiative against drudgery, we have to take the first step as though there